Have you ever wondered why certain people in your life drain your energy rather than uplift it? Why, after spending time with them, you feel emotionally exhausted instead of inspired? Let me share with you an ancient truth that I have learned over my long and eventful life. The art of choosing those who bring light into your life and distancing yourself from those who cast shadows. My name is Grandma Amita. I have walked a long path, one filled with challenges and profound discoveries. My journey has been like a river, sometimes roaring with rapids, and at other times flowing gently and serenely. Through these years, I've learned to recognize who nurtures my soul's current and who seeks to flood it with their burdens. Now, in the twilight of my years, I have come to understand this simple truth. Your inner world is a sacred temple, and you alone decide who enters. Together, let us explore how to protect your peace and shield yourself from those who might disrupt your harmony. Remember, self-care is not selfishness, but wisdom born of experience. First, the manipulator. Picture this. It's a peaceful morning. Birds are chirping, a warm cup of tea rests in your hands, and the soft breeze flutters the curtains. Suddenly, the phone rings. On the other end, a relative pleads for your help. Perhaps they need a ride to the hospital or assistance with paperwork. It seems minor, so you agree. But over time, you notice these requests becoming a pattern. It feels as if you're no longer a person but a resource to be tapped. Manipulators excel at making you feel guilty. They convince you that you owe them help, even when it stretches your limits. But here's the truth. Your time and energy are precious. You are not obligated to sacrifice your well-being to satisfy someone else's demands. I remember a neighbor from my younger years. Every week, she'd arrive at my door with some emergency. Initially, I was eager to help. But soon, her crises felt endless, and I began to feel drained. It wasn't easy, but I learned to gently say, "I can't assist this time." And you know what? She found other ways to manage. Saying no is not cruelty, it's self-preservation. Second, the egocentric. In our culture, we value sharing stories, wisdom, and experiences. But imagine this. You begin telling someone about your cherished childhood memory, perhaps a serene boat ride on a summer river, and they interrupt with, "Oh, that reminds me of what I did last weekend." Suddenly, your story is lost, overshadowed by their need to dominate the conversation. Egocentrics, or narcissists, are like suns demanding everything orbit around them. Often, they are unaware of their toxic behavior. Yet, their actions can leave you feeling unseen and unheard. I recall a family gathering where a distant cousin monopolized every conversation. No matter the topic, it always came back to her achievements. It was exhausting. Over time, I learned to gently redirect, saying, "That's interesting, but I'd like to finish what I was saying." Surround yourself with those who value your voice. Relationships should be a mutual exchange, not a one-sided performance. Third, the critic. Think back to a time when you felt genuinely proud of something you'd accomplished. Perhaps you tried a new recipe and it turned out wonderfully, or maybe you stood up for yourself in a situation that demanded courage. You glowed with satisfaction, eager to share your moment of triumph with others. But then, along came someone who couldn't resist pointing out a flaw. "It's good, but it could have been better," or "Why didn't you do it this way instead?" Critics often disguise their negativity as helpful advice, but their words can cut deep. Their remarks can linger in your mind, turning your pride into doubt. Why do they do it? More often than not, critics are projecting their own insecurities. They fear failure or feel insignificant, so they try to dim your light to make themselves feel brighter. I remember one particular festival when I was a young girl. My mother and I spent hours creating a beautiful rangoli design outside our home. The colors were vibrant, and the patterns intricate, a true labor of love. Neighbors stopped by to admire it, showering us with compliments. But one older woman said, "It's nice, but the lines aren't even. Next time you should try harder." As a child, her words stung. I looked at our work and began to see only flaws. My mother, wise as always, noticed my disappointment and said, "Amita, don't let one shadow block the sunlight. Not everyone can see beauty the way it is. Some people only see what's missing because they're missing something inside themselves." That lesson stayed with me. Critics often lack the courage to celebrate others because it reminds them of what they haven't achieved. The next time someone criticizes you, pause and ask yourself, is this constructive feedback, or just an attempt to tear me down? If it's the latter, smile and move on. Your joy and achievements belong to you, not to their insecurities. Fourth, the irresponsible. Some people live their lives as if they're perpetual children, always depending on others to clean up their messes. They make mistakes and run to you, expecting you to fix everything for them. Why wouldn't they? You've always been the reliable one, the person who steps in when things go wrong. But the question is, where do you draw the line? I once knew a neighbor, a kind-hearted young man named Ravi. Ravi had big dreams but no discipline to achieve them. He'd spend his days lounging and his nights socializing, ignoring responsibilities like paying bills or managing his household. Whenever things went awry, his power got cut off, or his landlord threatened eviction, he would come to me, pleading for help. "Auntie," he'd say, "you're the only one I can count on." At first, I thought I was doing the right thing by helping him. But soon, I realized my assistance wasn't teaching him responsibility. It was enabling his avoidance. When I finally told him, "Ravi, I can't keep solving your problems for you. You need to learn to handle them yourself," he was upset. But eventually, he began to take small steps toward independence. Irresponsible people may resist boundaries at first. They might accuse you of being uncaring or harsh. But setting limits isn't an act of cruelty. It's an act of love. By refusing to be their safety net, you're giving them the opportunity to grow. Remember, it's not your job to bear the weight of someone else's life. You can offer guidance, but the hard work must be theirs. Fifth, the ungrateful. Have you ever poured your heart into doing something special for someone, only to be met with criticism or indifference? Ungrateful people have a way of taking your kindness for granted, leaving you questioning whether your efforts were even worth it. I vividly remember a family reunion I once organized. I spent weeks preparing for it, cooking dishes everyone loved, decorating the space, even arranging games for the children. The day of the reunion, I was buzzing with excitement, hoping everyone would feel the warmth and care I had put into every detail. But as the evening wore on, I overheard a relative mutter, "The food is fine, but it's not as good as last year's." Another complained about the seating arrangements. My heart sank. How could they focus on such trivialities and overlook the love and effort I had invested? At that moment, I had to remind myself of a simple truth. Their ingratitude was a reflection of their emptiness, not my failure. Some people are so consumed by their own dissatisfaction that they can't recognize the blessings around them. Instead of letting their words wound you, shift your focus. Think about the smiles on the children's faces as they played, the heartfelt laughter shared among others, and the joy you felt in creating something meaningful. Gratitude doesn't always come from the people you expect it from, but it can still exist in the moments you create. If someone's ingratitude becomes a recurring pattern, It's worth asking yourself whether their presence in your life enriches you or drains you. Love and generosity are precious gifts. Share them with those who truly appreciate their value. And never forget, your worth is not measured by others' ability or inability to acknowledge your efforts. Life, my dear friends, is far too short to be spent in the company of those who steal your peace. Think of your mind and heart as a beautiful, serene garden. Every person you allow into your life is like a visitor to this sacred space. Some will come with love and nurture your flowers, while others will trample over them without a second thought. I've learned through the years that boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They're gates to protect what is precious. Setting limits doesn't make you selfish. It makes you wise. You are not obligated to hold space for those who bring chaos, negativity, or ingratitude into your life. Consider this. The people around you have a profound influence on the person you become. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, who celebrate your successes, and who walk alongside you through life's challenges. These are the souls who add warmth to your garden, planting seeds of love, respect, and kindness. But what about those who bring pain, criticism, or manipulation? Release them with grace. Thank them, silently if you must, for the lessons they taught you. Lessons about resilience, self-respect, and the power of saying no, then let them go, knowing that your garden will bloom brighter without their shadows. I'll leave you with a story from my own life. When I was a young woman, I befriended a merchant who seemed kind and generous. But over time, I noticed his habit of making sharp remarks about my choices, belittling my dreams. For years, I tolerated his behavior, thinking I needed his approval. It wasn't until I began to distance myself that I realized how much lighter and freer I felt. In his absence, I discovered new friends, those who encouraged me to grow and celebrated my accomplishments without judgment. So, my dear ones, be mindful of the company you keep. Your happiness, your peace, and your spirit are treasures worth guarding. Let your life be filled with light, joy, and love, and share that abundance with those who truly appreciate it. Remember, your worth isn't determined by others' opinions, but by the love and wisdom you cultivate within yourself. May you walk your path with clarity and courage, choosing companions who reflect the beauty of your soul. And may your garden bloom endlessly, filled with the colors of joy and the fragrance of peace.